Welcome to our horror channel. Get ready to feel the thrill with scary stories and mysteries that will get your heart racing. Don't forget to subscribe for more horror stories. It was a typical March night when I took on an overnight shift at the gas station, filling in for a colleague. The storm had already started brewing, but the empty streets and pouring rain made the gas station eerily quiet. After a couple of hours, I stepped outside to prepare the station for the storm, when I noticed a man standing on the street, drenched from head to toe. At first, I thought he was simply waiting for a ride, but something about his pacing and disheveled appearance struck me as off. As the storm grew fiercer, with thunder crashing and wind shaking the building, I retreated to the back storage room, seeking refuge from the chaos outside. That's when I heard it, soft, persistent banging on the front door. I rushed to unlock it, thinking the man outside needed help. But when he entered, soaked and silent, I felt an uneasy chill. He didn't thank me or explain himself, just started pacing the floor, his eyes blank and unblinking. It was the same man I had seen earlier, but now something was different. His presence felt wrong. Trying to stay calm, I asked if he was okay or needed assistance, but the man ignored me. His eyes were hollow, and bloodstains marred his hands, as if he'd been in a violent struggle. My instincts told me something terrible was unfolding, but I didn't know what to do. As I moved toward the phone to call the police, his gaze snapped to me. He froze for a moment, as if weighing his next move, before continuing to pace again. I stood frozen, uncertain of what to expect. Minutes dragged on as the storm raged, adding to the tension. I realized that trying to escape or call for help might be more dangerous than just waiting it out. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the man stopped, gave me one last look, and walked out into the storm. I quickly called the police, but by the time they arrived, he was gone, leaving behind only his unsettling presence. The following day, the news revealed that a woman had gone missing that night, and the timeline matched the bizarre events I had witnessed. I still can't shake the feeling that the man I encountered was somehow linked to her disappearance, but I'll never know for sure. It had been a long day at work, and I was finally home, nestled comfortably in bed, watching TV. Outside, a rare storm raged, making me uneasy. It wasn't the storm itself that scared me, but the isolation of my house during nights like this. As the wind howled, a strange noise from downstairs interrupted my peace. Thinking it was just the house creaking, I tried to ignore it. But something told me to check, and I found nothing. Feeling uneasy, I grabbed a water bottle and went back upstairs, only to be disturbed again moments later by a sound I knew all too well, the unmistakable crash of my unstable lamp falling over. I rushed downstairs, knowing it couldn't have fallen from the storm, as the house wasn't shaking that much. When I found the lamp lying in the middle of the living room, an eerie sensation washed over me. The storm outside had been violent, but not enough to explain the lamp's fall. I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right, but there were no immediate signs of an intruder. My gut told me it wasn't just the storm causing this strange occurrence, so I checked the rest of the house before retreating back to my room, my anxiety creeping higher. It wasn't long before I heard it again, the sound of rain, but it wasn't coming from outside. It was as if it was pouring inside the walls. I followed the noise downstairs, my heart racing as I approached the storage closet. When I opened the door, I was horrified to find the window wide open, water pooling on the floor below it. I hadn't touched the window in months, and yet, there it was, open. Panic surged through me as I shut the window, realizing that something or someone had been inside my home. My fear grew as I silently made my way toward the front door, praying that whoever was inside wouldn't hear me. Just as I reached the door, the sound of heavy footsteps above me echoed down the hallway. They were heading for the stairs, and without thinking, I bolted for the door, sprinting into the storm outside. My heart pounded in my chest as I scrambled to my car and drove away without looking back. The police found no sign of an intruder when they arrived, but they speculated that whoever had broken in had hidden upstairs, waiting for me to fall asleep. The realization that someone had been walking around my house, just outside my bedroom door, while I sat there oblivious, still haunts me. I'm never quite able to shake the unsettling feeling that someone's watching me.
Crowded streets, and for some reason
It was 1:00 a.m., and I was heading home from a late security shift. The storm was heavy, and the roads were flooded with water, making the drive feel unnervingly isolating. I typically took a smaller side road to avoid the main highway, but on this night, I soon regretted my decision. The road ahead was flooded, and I knew it would be too dangerous to drive through. Frustrated, I reversed to turn around, but then something happened that left me feeling uneasy. A car appeared out of nowhere, only 2 feet from my bumper. It had no headlights on, and there was no sign of any other cars on the road during my entire drive. At first, I thought it might be another driver who had missed the flooding, but when they didn't react to my reverse lights or honking, the situation grew more unsettling. The car stayed right behind me, silent and motionless, while the rain hammered against my car. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The tension escalated when the man in the car got out, wearing black clothing and a hood that obscured most of his face. He knocked on my window but didn't speak a word. My mind raced, wondering if he was drunk or in trouble, but his strange behavior didn't sit right with me. Just as I started to drive forward cautiously, trying to avoid the flood, another man appeared on the opposite side of my car, knocking on the window. Behind him, another shadowy figure emerged, and I realized I was surrounded. Panic set in as I frantically tried to escape, not caring about the flooded road. For a terrifying moment, my car lost traction, and I thought I was trapped, but somehow, I managed to regain control and sped away from them. My heart was racing as I finally made it back to the main road and called the police. When officers arrived later, the car was still there, parked right at the flood, but there were no signs of the men. The vehicle was traced back to a dealership hundreds of miles away, and it had been reported stolen months earlier. I can't help but wonder what would have happened if I hadn't gotten away, or if there was something far darker at play that night. I may never know the truth, but the eerie feeling that I narrowly escaped something horrifying stays with me to this day.
almost nobody else was driving.